The nation's steelmakers are pushing for an exemption from the Trump administration steel import quota. POSCO and Hyundai Steel Company are asking to be left out of the 70% annual import quota imposed by Washington.
Imagine standing at the edge of the world's largest steel plant, watching as massive ships glide into port carrying the raw materials that will soon become the backbone of civilization. The ground trembles beneath your feet as thousands of tons of iron ore and coal are about to begin an epic transformation. This is POSCO, Korea's steel colossus, and you're about to witness one of humanity's most impressive industrial spectacles. Welcome to a realm where temperatures soar to 1,500 degrees Celsius, where molten metal flows like glowing rivers, and where ancient elements are reborn as the building blocks of our modern world. What you're about to discover will change how you see every steel beam, every wire, every piece of metal around you. The arrival, when giants meet the sea. The story begins at POSCO's massive port, where ships the size of city blocks dock with their precious cargo.
Korean firm POSCO has been named the world's top steelmaker for the fifth year in a row. Now, among 36 global steelmakers surveyed, information service provider World Steel Dynamics gave POSCO the highest marks.
These aren't ordinary deliveries. They're carrying the lifeblood of industrial civilization. Iron ore, looking deceptively like ordinary stones, and coal that will soon undergo an incredible metamorphosis. But here's where things get interesting. How do you move mountains of raw materials efficiently? The answer lies in a fascinating engineering dilemma. Picture this. You can use one giant bucket that takes several hours to unload a ship, or you can deploy an army of smaller buckets working continuously. The continuous system looks like a larva having a meal. Which method do you think proves more efficient? The giant bucket or the larva-like approach? The answer becomes clear as you watch the mesmerizing dance of continuous unloading. Smaller buckets work tirelessly, never stopping, creating an endless stream of raw materials flowing toward their destiny. It's efficiency in motion, a mechanical symphony that never sleeps. The great journey begins. From the port, conveyor belts stretch like mechanical highways, carrying the iron ore across vast distances to enormous storage yards. These aren't just simple transport systems. They're the arteries of an industrial giant, pumping raw materials through POSCO's massive body. The iron ore, still looking remarkably like ordinary stones, has no idea of the incredible transformation awaiting it. The journey continues as these humble-looking rocks travel deeper into the plant, carried by more conveyor belts toward the processing factories. Here's where the real magic begins, where ordinary stones become extraordinary steel through a process so complex it seems almost supernatural. The sintering mystery. The first transformation occurs in the sintering process, a crucial step that most people never hear about, but that determines the quality of everything steel-related in your life. Think of sintering as the first act of resurrection. Iron ore particles are bound together through intense heat and pressure, creating a material ready for the next phase of its metamorphosis. This process directly affects the quality of the finished products. Every car, every building, every bridge depends on this mysterious step happening perfectly. The sintered ore emerges transformed, no longer individual particles but a unified material ready for its ultimate test. The coal zone transformation. But iron ore isn't the only material undergoing metamorphosis. Coal, the ancient compressed forest of millions of years past, must also transform before it can play its crucial role. Enter the coal ovens, massive industrial chambers where temperatures reach a scorching 1,000 degrees Celsius. Here's where the story takes an amusing turn. Wood becomes charcoal, coal becomes coke. Ain't Pepsi. This upgraded coal, now called coke, is pushed out of the ovens in a spectacular display of industrial might. The glowing coke falls into giant bowls on the other side of the ovens, where it must cool for several hours before it can join the iron ore in the next phase of their shared journey. Into the inferno, the blast furnace. Now comes the moment you've been waiting for, the blast furnace where the real magic happens. Picture a towering industrial cathedral where temperatures reach an almost unimaginable 1,500 degrees Celsius. Here, the processed materials are stacked in careful layers, each positioned precisely for the chemical symphony about to unfold. A hot blast of air, heated to 1,500 degrees Celsius, is blown into the lower section of the furnace. What happens next is nothing short of miraculous. Chemical reactions cascade throughout the furnace as materials fall downward in a carefully choreographed dance. Carbon monoxide converts iron oxides to elemental iron in a process called the magic of the engineers. The result? Molten steel, glowing like liquid fire, flows into storage containers, while freight trains wait patiently nearby for transportation. But this molten steel isn't ready yet. It still contains impurities that must be removed. The purification ritual. The molten steel travels by train to the slag-removing factory, where it undergoes purification. Just like fresh milk from cows needs to be processed to be drinkable. We don't have to make it drinkable, though. In massive containers, slag, the unwanted impurities, floats to the top of the molten steel like oil on water. Specialized skimmers remove this slag, which doesn't go to waste. Instead, it's recycled as asphalt material or cement, proving that even industrial waste has value in this circular economy. The purification process involves repetitive refining for high-quality steel, with cooling water systems preventing overheating. The birth of solid steel. Now comes one of the most spectacular sights in industrial manufacturing: continuous casting. The refined molten steel, glowing like liquid sunlight, pours through supply holes at the bottom of containers in a process that flows downward continuously. Gray powder serves as lubricant as the molten steel solidifies into what's called a bloom, the first solid form of our transformed materials. This is a 24-hour, never-ending process. The continuous casting operation never stops, never sleeps, producing solid steel bars around the clock. These blooms are then cut to length, ready for their next transformation. The final metamorphosis. The journey isn't over yet. The large blooms must be reheated and passed through rolling mills to become billets, thinner, longer pieces of steel. Cooling water prevents the rollers from overheating and transforming themselves, a crucial detail that keeps the entire process running smoothly. After the ugly ends are removed and the steel is cut to length, these pieces become billets. Each one receives surface cleaning and product number marking before being moved by electromagnets. Can you guys explain why electromagnet can't hold the steel when it's red hot? It's a fascinating physics puzzle that highlights the complex relationship between heat and magnetism. The wire rod revolution. For the final transformation, billets are reheated once more for wire rod production. Rolling mills make the billet much thinner and longer, creating wire rods used for bearings, tires, and bolt production. It's remarkable to think that something that started as ordinary-looking stones has become the foundation for countless products in our daily lives. The wire rods emerge steel-hot and are compressed and bound, with each bundle weighing an impressive 2 tons. These massive coils are then loaded onto trucks equipped with painted eyes, a safety feature that adds an almost whimsical touch to this industrial giant. Looking to the future, POSCO isn't content with current achievements. The company has ambitious plans to build a 100% hydrogen system by 2050, representing a revolutionary shift toward cleaner steel production. This commitment shows how even the most traditional industries are evolving to help create a better world. The complete circle. From ship to final product, you've witnessed an extraordinary transformation. Ordinary iron ore and coal, through the application of intense heat, precise engineering, and human ingenuity, become the steel that builds our world. Every skyscraper, every bridge, every car contains within it the same miraculous journey from raw earth to refined metal. The next time you touch anything made of steel, remember this journey. Remember the 1500 degrees Celsius furnaces, the molten rivers of metal, the continuous casting that never stops, and the workers who make it all possible. You've seen behind the curtain of one of humanity's most essential industries, and the world will never look quite the same again. POSCO's story is ultimately our story, a testament to human ingenuity, the power of transformation, and the endless cycle of creation that keeps our modern world running. In a place where temperatures rival the surface of some stars and where ancient elements are reborn daily, the impossible becomes routine, and ordinary stones become the backbone of civilization.